No.
And why was that?
I was taught how horrible it was. And my father and mother were both homophobic, so I didn't have any good image of gay people. Once I moved to California and started working for people in Los Angeles as clients, and I realized that my being gay was no issue to them. It was just the way I was, and there was no judgment, and it let me feel comfortable talking about who I was to them, to the point now when I meet somebody in public and the subject matter of my sexuality needs to be expressed in terms of the conversation, I don't hesitate now. And even though I've had years of experiencing it this way, there's a side of me that still goes back, I can't believe I'm doing this, because that's so innately held. And this started occurring when I was about 33, when I moved to Los Angeles, and it continued over the years. When I was about 19, I got a job in the summer working for a firm, an architectural firm in New Orleans, and I lived in the French Quarter. And I met an attorney who probably was in his 30s, very handsome, very smart, very well-connected, and just a nice guy. And he took me under his wing and showed me what the gay world was like and introduced me around town and kind of made sure that I was surrounded by loving, supportive people. He basically didn't help me grow into the person I am, but he helped me go through the transition and learning all about the gay world based upon his years of experience. And I was very fortunate to have a mentor like that. Do you have 5 hours? I recall the first time I heard of it and feeling from a friend at his apartment, and he was followed news very assiduously and told me about it. And it was called the gay cancer back then because people got Kaposi sarcoma, which is a skin cancer, which meant their T cells were so low that the next thing they would get would be pneumocystis, pneumonia, for which there was no cure, and they would die. So if you saw people out and about and they had a lesion, you just knew they were going to die. And if you saw somebody at the gym who had lost 15 pounds and looked gaunt, and you knew they had been sick with pneumocystis, and you knew they would get it again and again until they died. And it got to the point where there were so many people dying and there were no drugs, and Ronald Reagan didn't even mention the word AIDS for 7 years, while thousands and millions of people died, and while people were sickened in the hospitals, and hospitals were overflowing because there were so many sick people. The gay community as a whole was numb, and we organized because there were no funds allocated for at least 8 years to do AIDS research. So the gay community banded together, formed organizations, did AIDS research themselves. I was involved in that. Funded centers to treat people, and we took care of ourselves. And it's when the gay community coalesced into a unified group, because we're made of people of all races, all socioeconomic backgrounds, all education levels. We're a disparate group of people from different cultures who happen to be gay. And there was no connectivity. And we realized that our survival was at stake. And the support and love and compassion and dedication of the gay community to taking care of themselves was powerful. My congressman sent out a one-page letter to all his constituents saying, here are the places to go if you need to get tested. 7 of the 8 organizations that he listed were started and funded and run by gay people. There was only 1 that was non-gay. And I lost 3 ex-partners. All of my friends from college died. None of my friends from my 5 years in Atlanta are still there. My family and friends just vanished. We were all so numb that there were so many people dying that when one died, you went, oh no, not another one. Instead of going, oh my God, I'm going to fall apart. And my therapist at the time said that there had been no plague since the beginning of psychotherapy. And they had no history of helping us. And they were coming to terms with what they could do for us who were suffering through this. And he said it was called collective grief syndrome. That you were so busy grieving so many people at the same time that when another one died, it was like just adding another log to the fire. And I kept the list of the people I knew, even if it was just circumstantially. And when it got up to 150, I scanned it and reviewed it and saw my family of friends and best friends and partners, and got so depressed I threw it away and went to bed. It's still hard for me to believe that it's behind us now. And the sadness that I have about it is that it's forgotten. And that the young people in the gay community don't realize that it was my generation, give or take 10 years. We were the ones who were the guinea pigs and took all the drug trials or participated in them that produced the drugs that are available today and are saving their lives. And we are basically considered old men and has-beens, and the ageism in the gay community, there's no respect for us. And if they knew nobody can even imagine how horrible it was. I'm happy to talk about this because it should be preserved. It's our Holocaust. And speaking of war crimes, Reagan should be tried for it. He let millions of people die.
Yeah.
The easiest way to be happy in life is to love who you are and how you are. Years ago, somebody told me a saying that seems apropos right now, which is, instead of bitching or worrying or not liking or wishing things were different in your life that are immutable, instead of wishing they were different and bitching and moaning, go, it's what's so, I am gay. And once you realize that, then you can start the process of learning what it's like to be gay. And for any young person just discovering it, find some other gay friends, some people that or even straight friends who don't care. But get a support system, because it's a big change. You have to reinvent yourself. And it can be a wonderful life experience. You're surrounded by people who have the best of both genders. The assertiveness of a man, but the sensitivity of a woman. And there are no specific occupations that you shouldn't be involved in. Because if you're gay and you want to be a hairdresser, they know, they don't care. Even my homophobic mother told me that her hairdresser was handsome in an effeminate sort of way. So today, is so different. In 2017, let's say you grew up in a homophobic family or you're in a homophobic town. Realize that there are big communities out there where people don't care, and get yourself to one of those communities and out of your toxic environment. And realize that once you accept who you are, you will realize that there is a whole world of excitement and stimulation and appreciation of the arts that you would not have had you not been gay.
Amen. Thank you.
Sure.